coming home, Kilauea, where the skies are so blue, till I looked out my backyard and saw the cell phone tower smiling at you. My Lord, my Lord, my Lord. Hang on 1 second, girls. This don't happen much on the radio, but I got a phone call coming in. Is that you, doctor? Okay. Yeah, I tried to call this doctor who just wrote a newspaper article to the letter to the editor today. And let me go there right now. And on the phone with us right now, Felicia Towden. And she does a radio show from Kauai, and they've been doing a lot of community issues. One of them, the cell phone tower issue we just brought up. And I think the most salient points that came out of there was that these guys took away our rights. Corporation went in there, paid off the feds, and said, let us do this wherever we want, and don't let anybody, don't allow anybody to come to court and say it's a bad health issue. God dang, that's just the stupidest idea I've ever heard of. Take away our rights like that, and that was in 1993. Is that what you said? Yeah, we just come in and we just say, look, here's a new law that says you can't say that we can't put these things where we want them because we are AT&T.
And what it really says is that all of the determination for what's healthy or not healthy is determined by the FCC, the Federal Communication Commission, which is largely peopled by the industry itself.
Yes.
It's another fox in charge of the hen house.
It's a fox in charge of the hen house, very similar to my guest who will be on the show next week, Mr. Richard Maruya. He came up with a new refrigerant. He actually invented it here in Hawaii. And what this guy did was he tried to get it passed through the EPA. 8 years, couldn't do it. In the meantime, here comes DuPont and Honeywell 2 years after him, gets it done 2 years before him because the EPA is owned by the corporations. Does that sound the same to you girls?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, let's see. I've got a guy. Okay, let's go to the letter to the editor where we're going to segue into GMO, shall we? And here we go. So here's a letter to the editor today, and it says GMOs can ease food shortages. Okay, so the first one says the Monsanto issue, and that's Syngenta and everybody else, is threefold. It says here, genetically GMO seeds are GMO seeds bad for the environment and is their food unhealthy? Should GMO be labeled? Should Monsanto be allowed to sue seed savers for patent violations? In other words, if you buy one of their seeds, grow one of their corns, take the corn, keep it for seed, and then try and grow 100 corns later, you'll be sued by them. If the foods are labeled, we can choose whether or not to consume them. Duh. Monsanto's seeds include their Roundup Ready seeds. They're designed to resist Monsanto's Roundup pesticide. Okay, so you can spray to kill bugs without killing the plant. And of course, one good reason to avoid Roundup Ready any products. Okay, because it's got a pesticide already built into it, stuff like that. Monsanto, which controls much of the global seed market, attacks the farmers who refuse to repurchase their seeds every year, sued hundreds of farmers, run every case. Of the three issues, health, disclosure, and economics, the third is potentially devastating by a disallowing subsistence farmer to save the seeds. In other words, the third world people have to purchase seeds every year if they want that kind. Monsanto is starving the planet, not feeding it. So that's John with White from Haleiwa. And then we jump right over to Jeffrey V. Davis. I looked him up, and I think he's a doctor out of Polymoma. I tried to get a hold of him, and I still am. Geoffrey, Geoffrey, and he says they can ease food shortages. The GMO issue is becoming ridiculous. Opponents of them have good intentions but display scientific ignorance. Oh my God. There is nothing mysterious or evil about GMO foods. Yeah, there's nothing mysterious about mixing a jellyfish or DNA with a corn DNA or a human DNA. With nothing mysterious about that at all. There's nothing mysterious about spraying 10 years worth of pesticide cocktail on a crop in Kauai just because it never turns into winter here. It's nothing mysterious about having dust blow into people's homes and up their noses and in their skins full of these science experiments with poison. Nothing wrong with that at all. Nothing wrong with the wind blowing the wrong direction or the right direction. The day they spray it and everybody's got a headache or whatnot, claims of nosebleeds. Okay, so what this guy says is there's nothing mysterious about it. They're simply food products that have been modified to enhance size, taste, and economy of the consumer. Hello, from what I've learned, and here I am, my little lone experiment going on in this chair, they are designed in order to be sprayed with copious amounts of poison and still exist and go and stay alive. These things have not been, and again, Dr. Davis, I'm asking you to get on my show. They have not been designed to bring more food to the table. They have not been designed for better taste or economy to the consumer. To be sure, using poisons on already planted crops is debatable.
And I've been really super active in this issue, and I'm kind of a latecomer in understanding it, but for the listener, a good film to see information about this is called Genetic Roulette.
Genetic Roulette. Okay, here we go. This guy goes on to say, with our abundance of food in general, it seems mostly a matter of economics and convenience. But for countries where starvation and food shortages are common, it can be life-saving. No, don't you get it? Those people, then they have to rebuy their seeds every year, else these guys come over and sue you for it. It's out the Supreme Court right now.
It is deeper than that, because when they go in and they farm these fields, it is monocropping. And it does a lot of environmental destruction, and it uses up the water. And in especially countries like Colombia and Paraguay and places like that, the people don't have the same kind of plumbing systems that we do and potable water. So the people who live in that environment, they not only become sick from the poisons that are put on the land itself becomes devitalized. So the
right, it's the Dust Bowl, and Walter Ritty has been on that over and over. Of course, Walter's hosted the show on the subject before. The fact that they're turning, well, in his case, he's focused on Molokai for obvious reasons, and it's a Dust Bowl. That's what happened when the Dust Bowl happened way back when in what was that, 1910?
In Oklahoma in the Depression era.
All right, let's take a caller. Since I asked for it, let's get one. Dave calling in with a comment. Aloha, welcome to the show.
Hello.
Hello.
I actually was calling about your earlier comments, so I don't want to mess you up here.
You're not. Let's go back. Let's go back to the cell phone tower issue. Help us out. Educate us.
Well, I'm actually friends with the two guests that you have, and you know, I was kind of not paying a whole lot of attention, and I started listening to the hearings the other day, and you know, I was appalled to think that you have the nerve to try to put this 80-foot tower in the middle of this residential neighborhood. I mean, you know, we understand you need a tower or whatever, but the bottom line is, you know, you can put it out near the mountains. Right now, it's over by Crater Hill. There's opportunities over there. Why do you have to put it right next to a school? We know that it pumps out radiation. We can argue all day long back and forth as to whether it's, you know, too much or not, but the bottom line is, why take a risk? You know, it doesn't make any sense. And then you have the issue of the idea of that. You're going to have people pulling their kids out of the school because they don't want it there for health reasons, which is now going to devalue the property. You're going to have a number of issues related to devaluation of the property. I mean, I don't know if you've ever been to Long Beach, California. You notice how they have the oil, you know, the oil pumps everywhere. I mean, yeah, there's a lot of wealth in the ground, but the bottom line is, I'm sure the residential neighborhood isn't worth a lot. I mean, do we want another neighborhood where you've got cell towers everywhere? I mean, do you think that's going to value the property? It doesn't make a lot of sense. But this is one more situation, like you've mentioned before, for those listening, that you had corporations that basically came in '96 that, you know, they wanted to push their agenda, and the government was trying to push their agenda to put all these communication towers in. They made a, you know,
okay. No, I got to cut you short. Sorry. Listen to this. I want to say all my respect to you for getting involved, because you started hearing about it. Now you care enough to pay attention to what's going on and even call into a radio show. Most people won't lift a finger. So you're the example of the solution to this problem, Dave. And thanks for and whether you knew it or not, congratulations, and congratulations, girls, for getting your message out. Let's go back to the GMO thing. Felicia, continue, please.
Well, I think that, like, people might listen also into Dr. Lawrence Pang, who works for the Department of Health of Maui. He comes over as a private citizen, but he has a very compelling argument about why even just eating these is not good for us. There is what's called a 4-aspect cassette when they enter these genes, when they splice the genes together. There's a lot of science in it that I won't go long on the radio here,
No.
but it's not too hard hard to understand if you look at films like Genetic Roulette, or if people can get Dr. Lauren Pang over. It's not a theory of whether these things are bad for us. And people who have GERD, have you heard of GERD? It's like gastroesophageal reflux disorder.
Oh, God, don't do that to us.
That is similar to the inherent pesticide that's inside the corn. As bugs eat the corn, their guts break open. And then as they become heavy on the market, many people have essentially GERD, which is a human expression of something similar. Now they say
hang on, okay, because I am the GMO experiment. I didn't ask for this. I thought I was going to sell a solar on Saturday afternoons once a week, and now I've got a 7-day-a-week drive-home show where I get bombarded. So it's a good thing I'm the guy listening, but I just happen to be accidentally sitting in the chair. And the way I see it is, forget all that. Forget trying to educate us dummies about the facts. Let's look at the 101 for kindergarten aspects of it. The people who do this are not allowed to do it in their own country. Any dummy can understand that. We've seen enough movies where the plot was all about that, okay? Now, why would they not be able to practice their own business in their own country? Because their own country's smart enough to tell them to beat it. And so they go out and they look for little third world banana republics like Hawaii, where we're 10 years behind the times. We're not connected to the other states who have also booted many of these people out for all the right reasons. How many countries have banned GMOs on the world? 50?
There's at least 60 who have the labeling. 13 countries in Europe banned just this week the main chemicals that are being...
Okay, that's what I think we should be focused on here. Not what our... Because again, even what you're telling us about the science of it could be just flat out true. It probably is. But when you do it like this and you go into realms where people don't understand, you become completely suspect. Why don't we just stick to the facts? They're not allowed to do it in their own country. Labeling is required in 50 countries. And there's many places where the entire country has outlawed either the whole thing or the aspects of the poison they're spraying every day in Kauai.
Well, it begs a much bigger question, and that is what we said a little bit earlier, is the United States government has yielded and been taken over. It's like a co-opted government by...
so is every other government in the world.
Well,
sorry to tell you.
We have gone excessively, and when you look at big ag, big pharma, the military-industrial complex, the banks, and the energy industry, they all are in the same org chart. They're all related. And the same also for the media.
You know, the only thing our Constitution seems to be doing for us right now is every once in a while throwing out an Aaron Brockovich. You know, that rare thing when the little underdog actually did win because of that Constitution. The Constitution right now, as far as what happens to people in their day-to-day lives, their opportunities in life, the middle class shrinking, and who decides who gets to build a cell phone tower or spray poison in your neighborhood.
Well, I have an encouraging message for everyone.
Ooh la la.
And that encouraging message is that people are waking up across the state and across the world. America is behind much of the rest of the world, but especially in Hawaii. People are coming out. It takes a million tiny fists to bring down Goliath, but people are emerging. People are waking up. And this year in the legislature, we have made huge differences, and we have really rattled their cage, and we're going to continue to do
Well, here's your worst enemy, propaganda.
Right.
And that's why we hear this guy in the newspaper today telling us that modification is as ancient as mankind. They're simply food products to be modified to better taste. And he is repeating the propaganda that they pushed out 15 and 20 years ago. So we can date this guy. I'll guarantee you how old this guy is.
And most of this corn is not for food. Most of this corn
is for feeding pigs.
For feeding pigs, and even cattle, and cattle aren't meant to eat that. It supports the concentrated animal feeding operation.
Let's review. Bayer, Syngenta, Monsanto, anyway, the big six. This is besides the oil companies and the energy conglomerates on the planet, this is the biggest money on the planet.
Monsanto is just connected with Blackwater too. They have a new name, but they're like a mercenary force. Yeah.
Bottom line is these guys just pay money to politicians to write legislation. They get ahead of the game before the people are aware of whatever the heck's out there. Next thing you know, you got a GMO farm in your neighborhood. You've got the most concentrated number of GMO companies on the island of Kauai, the little tiny beautiful island of Kauai. And you've got an experiment, a science experiment going on that engages not only the crops, but engages the people. And now it seems that, of course, there's always a possibility it could engage the ocean, the atmosphere, all an experiment under our noses with no knowledge of what's going on with us. And then what have you got? The legislature won't even require that they label the food.
And our motto at Ohana o Kauai is wake up, wise up, rise up. And that's what we're doing.
All right. And by the way, are you some dope smoking hippie? What do you do for a real job?
I do. I have something called Akamai Learning, and I educate kids.
Okay, so they don't allow you to be a dope smoking hippie. And then what about Lori? She's a dope smoking hippie, right? What do you do for your real job, Lori?
I am an executive administrator for Princeville Vacations. So
Okay.
call me up when you want to go on vacation, Jen.
That's what I'm talking about. This is real people with real families with real concern about their island, about their health and their lives.
And we're taken to the streets, Jen.
Thank you,
That's
girls.
what-
We ran out of time.
Okay,
Mahalo.
thank you.
You know, I'm doing a big GMO show tomorrow. I'm doing 2 shows tomorrow and one. I've got a research analyst. We're doing Roger Christie, and we're doing GMO. And
Okay.
this guy, you guys must listen to this because he spent you want to hear the genealogy and the whole DNA's, the whole string of where these chemical companies come from and where they initiate from? You listen tomorrow, okay?
We'll be on there. Thank you so
Will
much.
Thanks to you girls. Aloha.
Aloha.
And by the way, you'll be up on YouTube probably sometime around 11 o'clock tonight.
Okay, mahalo. Mahalo.
How about your voice as well? All right, aloha, everybody. How about that? We got an education, did we not? And then, of course, thanks to Dave for calling in, too. And I'm looking for this Joffrey Davis. I'm looking for someone to come on to teach us about how GMOs are a good thing, gosh darn it. Your solar guy, Jeff, you know what I'm doing right now? I'm going out to work. I'm going solarin. So if you need some solarin, you let me know, because I've been a solarin for 20 years here locally, got my company, and the number is 554-7200. On a more important note, aloha. Use it, breathe it, smell it, be it. Use it on yourself. You'll be surprised how much easier it'll be to start using it on other people right from your heart. You got to use it from your heart. You can't just say it. You got to be it. We'll change the world with one word. Aloha.